Hey, it's Rob from Moon Jelly Games. This is my second attempt recording this as I had my mic muted the first time. So that's fun. Anyways, I have done a whole bunch of stuff to this game since the last time I made a video. Most of it's not super interesting to show off, but some of it definitely is. First of all, here's something that's super exciting. Oh, it was so fast you can probably not even see it. We have loading screens now, so it's not just going to go black and have you waiting on finding out if the game crashed or not, which doesn't happen, of course. So here we are. There are some changes to the visuals. Everything is still placeholder, but we have a new concept for the story that gives context to what's actually happening in the game. So I could not, for the life of me, come up with some interesting things to fill the space with. Asteroids and other rocks, like, I don't know, we were talking about fragments of satellites and space stations and things like that, but even those things didn't really work because the scale compared to our ships was it just didn't really make sense. So I thought, what if our pilots are not human? What if they're something very, very small? And I thought, well, tardigrades are very, very small creatures that are known for being very resilient to extreme environments. They can even survive the vacuum of space for some period of time. And the game, the story will have some kind of like opening cutscene, I imagine, that explains that Earth has exploded and the tardigrades have all been blasted into space and they are existing amongst the wreckage of Earth. And they're doing war amongst the wreckage of Earth. And so now filling out our arenas here, instead of just being random balls that will eventually look like asteroids, we can have anything else that we can think of. Why not an 8-ball? Why not a padlock? Any random thing that we can come up with can just be an object that's floating in space, because why not? So the whole like tardigrade thing, like, I'm super happy with this idea because it just opens up a lot of creativity in the game. But we need some way to show, like, to remind players, like, hey, the reason why these things are so big is because you're a tardigrade. So down here we've got the pilot cam placeholder, of course, kind of like a Star Fox thing where you can see your pilot and he'll be like, blinking and moving around a little bit, I imagine. Maybe freaking out if you crash or get hit or whatever. But yeah, that's another thing that's happening. And then real quick, the background. I found this really cool tool called the Space Background Generator or something on itch.io, but by somebody called Deep Focus. And it's totally free to use, open source and everything. If you need backgrounds for your space game, it's awesome. Right now I have several layers on top of each other with transparency. I will in the future have different color options. It'll probably be randomized. I'll need to have some kind of color blindness accessibility options to limit certain colors probably, because like already now it's maybe hard to read for some people. Like, this thing right here obviously needs some kind of outline to make it clear that it's not just a background object because it's purple on purple. But anyways, yeah, that's the idea. Here we are. So we've got our random foreground objects, we've got random background objects of various sizes. Things that would be very large, like this is supposed to be a pyramid. This is all just stuff that I've doodled on paper. They can be far away. I've got a blur effect on them so that they don't look like they're in the foreground. We've got a big old watermelon here. That's pretty much the biggest object that I can draw and scan in at this scale. There's a ukulele floating around back there. So the more objects that I draw, the larger the pool will be for things that could spawn in. So right now it's somewhat limited because I've only drawn so many things. So you will see a fair amount of repetition, but in the future, I'd like to think that there would be so many objects that you would have to play many times to see them all. So we got this lighter here, which is an example of something that we can have more of, and that's objects that behave more like hazards. So I shot that one and it blew up and burned me a little bit. Very minor effect, but still. I want to show off one of the objects that, oh, here we go. The banana here. So if I blow up this banana, it'll break into little banana slices. And these all have, you know, separate physics collisions happening on them. We've got a chess queen. I know the scale of these objects is not perfect. It's very much just kind of approximate. Oh yeah, this is probably the most interesting object I made. This is based on the Game Boy that was blown up in the Gulf War, that until recently was at a museum in New York, I think. And I'm pretty sure I read that it has Tetris, or had Tetris still playing in it. I'm not really sure how that works because the buttons and things don't work, but this will just like loop through a game of Tetris until it stacks up and gets a game over. Yeah, so that's basically it. Oh wait, I gotta show off this. That's like a toe or something, because of course there has to be something gross. And if we shoot it, then it breaks up into bones, little toe bones. There's a toilet back there and a plunger, mushroom. Like it's so fun to be able to just think about any random object and throw it in there, and then depending on how big it is, it's like, was this a foreground object or a background object? And then there's like different scales of background objects, and I'll layer them so that you don't have like, so it doesn't look like a giant toilet in front of the pyramid or something. But anyways, that is about it. I don't think I've missed anything. Yeah, that's about it. We'll end it there. See ya.